Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I wanted to talk to you about something very important regarding narcissistic abuse. And that's a term called splitting. And it's one of the main goals the narcissist that is abusing you has for you and your life. You see, when a narcissist hammers you with gaslighting, crazy making, narcissist do tests, sweet mean cycles, sleep deprivation, physical abuse, public humiliation, and the list goes on and on. The narcissist hopes that you will split in order to be able to take their abuse for a lifetime. And splitting is where the mind goes through so much trauma. It literally cracks up and splits into several pieces. Pieces that allows the victim to dissociate with the abuse that is happening to them, so they can somehow manage to survive day-to-day life. And by this victim's dissociating, it allows the abuser to have a perfect piece of supply, a perfect robot, and a perfect slave. This is some real heavy stuff. And if you look and read about things such as old MK Ultra experiments, you will find a lot of the same techniques they used on their subjects to brainwash them were used on you as a child by your narcissist parents or parent, or as an adult by a narcissistic abuser you might have had a relationship with. It's pretty much all the same stuff. All the same techniques. Here's a perfect example. My mother to this day swears up and down that her mother was perfect and that she had the most wonderful childhood imaginable. When in reality, there are those that knew her growing up, such as one or two family members that ran off to have normal lives away from that narcissistic mess, confess their childhood was anything but good. They lived in a home where their mother was a serious hoarder like my narcissist mother. And their mother, my grandmother, was a toxic and destructive manipulator, and would turn people against each other, all the while coming out smelling like a rose and acting like the victim. And because my mother wanted the fake scraps of love from her mother, she allowed her life to be utterly ripped apart. Every talent she had was ruined, and every chance she had at a normal life was destroyed. Yet my mother goes overboard to tell everyone about her mother that was dead well before I was born. How wonderful and loving she was, and how much of a perfect mother she was. I remember as a child, I might have been only 6. My mother would for no reason try to convince me into the fact that she had an awesome childhood, and that my dead grandmother was a literal saint. In the same breath, she would tell me at the age of 6 how one of her siblings were as bad as the devil himself. As an adult I learned they were just the scapegoat. But the interesting fact is, my mother really acts like she believes that she had a wonderful childhood. She has never once said one negative word about her mother. Not one. This, I believe, is my mother suffering not only from being a narcissist, but also having dissociative identity disorder, or d.i.d, as well. I've heard of others that have narcissist parents, and they might state how their narcissist mother complained about how her parents treated her bad. One thing and another. They might talk about how crappy their childhood was, but then still repeat the abuse on you. Then gaslight you, telling you the abuse never happened. But with a narcissist that also has dissociative identity disorder, they will never be able to even have the thought in their mind that they were somehow abused or mistreated by their narcissist. And how dare you talk about their abuser? Because their abuser never abused them. Don't you see? And they become almost like a robot. But though they are programmed to dissociate based on what happened to them, they know exactly what they are doing to you is wrong. And they are hoping to get you to split and dissociate as well. It's so weird and complex. It almost doesn't make sense. And if you haven't lived it, it's so hard to believe. However, I will tell you this. When I hear about all this MK Ultra stuff out there, and people act like it's a conspiracy, and how can this happen? I just think to myself, the same tactics used by the narcissists in our life are the same tactics the CIA and others use to destroy and brainwash people. It's just on a larger scale. I used to joke to myself as a young adult, thinking about my mother, and saying to myself, my God, this woman needs to work for the CIA, or I would joke and say to myself, she's got to be a Terminator sent from the future to destroy my existence. Then when I met Susie the Narc 1000, I thought I was in a sci-fi scary movie all rolled up into one. But the reason why you and I are here talking is because we didn't split at all. At least in my opinion. I'm sure we would lie to ourselves here and there about things. But the reality is, we were still coherent and didn't like what was going on. When someone gets you to split, you will absolutely refuse to believe any abuse took place. It's the perfect crime for the narcissist. They can destroy your life and abuse you, and you will never see it as abuse. And when they have long passed away, you will speak about them like they are a saint. That's just insanity to me. But that's what splitters do. The mind can only take so much before it cracks and starts to break. So their alternate or other part of their mind creates a fantasy world where they believe this fantasy world is real. A world where they aren't abused and everything is perfect. So when they are being abused, they can shut off on the inside, walk through the motions the abuser wants, and they won't have any association to what's going on. Now don't get this confused with trusting your abuser over and over, only to have the rug yanked out from us. That's a big difference to when someone dissociates and goes dark on the inside. Because when someone truly goes dark and dissociates, they will no longer process that the rug was pulled out from under them anymore. The gaslighting has taken full effect, to the point where they no longer need the gaslighting to be done to them. Because they will no longer process the abuse ever took place. And if you tell them that they were abused too as a child to get them to see what's going on, they will gaslight themselves and you regarding the abuse they suffered. And they will believe their own gaslighting. Their minds are truly sealed off like bank vaults with all of these horrible deeds and acts of abuse done to them, never to be unsealed. But with you and I, though we lied to ourselves many times, we didn't split. And that's why we are here and able to start the process of working on our problems that stems from the abuse we suffered. And this is also what makes these people very dangerous. Because I can see it in my mother's eyes. When certain things are brought up, it appears no one is home. Or there's no driver behind the wheel, so to speak. I've seen where my mother has all the energy in the world to gossip about others' lives and shortcomings. But the second the topic gets turned to look at something that she has done wrong, my mother can fall asleep standing up as if she just got hypnotized. And I'm very serious when I say that. Other times she will try gaslighting. But when she feels that you're not believing it, she will just dissociate and fall asleep standing up. I know, crazy, right? But it's happened on multiple occasions. Have any of you experienced this type of behavior from a narcissist in your life? I would like to hear more from others regarding this, as it's a part of the topic that doesn't get touched on too often. So if you have any experience with this behavior, tell us more about it. Because iron sharpens iron. We are all healing and bettering ourselves. And we are doing that with sharing and helping one another through this process. Because like I always say, knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can live happy and healthy lives. Until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.